rapid adoption by large enterprises, they're realizing that employees want communication from their employers. And I use employees in the broadest sense of the word. People who are involved, paid by your organization. They could be affiliates, franchisees, they could be contractors, or they could be, full-time, part-time employees. But all of them want to know what's going on, and employers want everybody to understand organizational priorities. And the fact is, Jeremy, the cacophony of messages that come at people all day from so many sources has made this very, very hard for the employee to get what they need and for the employer to get through. So now what we're seeing is people saying, look, this is a strategic imperative. This isn't a nice to have. I have to be able to convey, things change so fast, the world is moving so fast, I have to have a purpose-driven mechanism to communicate with everybody in my organization. People are not often sitting at a laptop. So the idea that the way to communicate with them is to push an email at them or, maybe send them a letter, that's nice, but it's not real time and it's not meeting them where they're at. They have a phone. The supercomputer is in their pocket. Don't stop and look at your phone. But the message is there waiting for you. It's ready when you're ready. And what we see is smaller organizations have fewer resources to try to communicate multiple ways. They need a consolidated platform that's really streamlining so that I can send a message, and if I need it to be an SMS, because I got a bunch of people who don't have smartphones or email, and an email for all of those people, and a post, and I don't want it shared outside of my organization, I need to be able to do that in one place because there's generally one person who could possibly do that. And when they have one consolidated platform, they're able to do that efficiently. And then, and Jeremy, this is, part of my history, the ability to measure who got it. Did they engage with it? Did it have the desired impact? The fact that we don't know that on our internal communications means we have no idea if we're actually accomplishing the objective we set out to by communicating in the first place. Social, most people think about external social media, and we certainly have a set of important things for that, whether or not you got a lot of impressions, what was the reach of that. But that's when you are sending something to your employees that you'd like them to share. Let me guess that 80 to 90% of what you need to communicate with your employees is not actually what you need or want them to share. And so those metrics really are about impact. It's not just that they saw it, but did they, by segment, we're very big on segmentation. So by segment, did they see it, click on it, read it? Did they engage with it? And then we've added capabilities to be able to do a rapid survey where I could say, for example, one of our clients is rolling out a new code of conduct. And they need everybody to understand it and adhere to it. It's a liability issue. So they're going to send it out using us, all these great, it's going to be an alert and it's going to have points so we can gamify it. So people that go through it earn points. Yay. And then they're going to follow it with a survey. And they're going to be able to measure, did you, Jeremy, get what we meant? And if you didn't, you're not going to get in trouble. You may get more content, or your manager may get an alert which says, hey, Jeremy's not getting this. Now, it could be that it was sent as text and you're not a great reader and someone needs to talk to you about it. Okay, it's really good to know who to focus that additional time on rather than just hammering everybody if a bunch of people got what you needed them to get.
Yeah, I think in terms of internal communication, I would think there are a lot of new opportunities, and I'm thinking of employee health and wellness programs, for example, sharing information that might promote best practices there.
Exactly. So you have everything from the HR stack about health and wellness, self-care. You also have safety and compliance things that can come through there. But you also have simply culture things. What are our values? And one of the things, we have a client named Sutter Health here in California. They have 63,000 employees, I believe. They're a distributed healthcare system, and they're trying to change their culture around being really customer service oriented. And so they have nurses and techs and everybody from managers starting to capture examples of people doing great service for their patients and their families. They capture it in videos and pictures. They submit it. It gets reviewed because of HIPAA. It gets reviewed by a social media team to make sure that no patient information, no privacy is being violated. And then it's shared with Sutter Health, not for sharing outside of Sutter Health, but it's shared. And they're using this to affect cultural change. And it's working. And people really enjoy it because it's a way to recognize unsung heroes doing great work that you'd never hear about. Another thing we've learned is organizations, the employees, like to know the executives on a personal level. So how do I get to know you? Doing a quick video that shares personal information, shares a perspective that lets you get to know me. That's very powerful and snackable so that the other person doesn't have to interrupt their day to do it. They can do it when they want. We also see people doing change management when there's an acquisition, M&A, a world news event, executive turnover. So frankly, I'm hard pressed to find a circumstance where being able to communicate effectively with your employees isn't needed.
If a CEO wanted to, for example, break down silos or promote collaboration within an organization, this could be used in that way too, right?
Absolutely. And one of the key things, my academic background years ago is organizational psychology. To break down silos, there are two prerequisites. One, clear organizational priorities that everybody understands, and clear definition of everybody's role. When we understand what our roles are and what the priorities are, then we can collaborate effectively to achieve those priorities. When there's confusion about the priorities, we're working at cross purposes. When there's confusion about the role, we're tripping on each other and stepping on toes. So the ability to communicate both. Now, the first might be a C-level communication. These are the organizational priorities. But if you can delegate communication rights, you can then have different managers say, okay, team, this is our role in fulfilling that priority. And we're going to be connected with these three other teams in order to do this. And that just catalyzes energy and can truly break down silos. Everyone knows the same thing. Everybody knows what their role is on the team. We're not like Slack or Facebook Workplace or Microsoft Teams or Yammer. We're not a chat vehicle. So what we would be for is making sure everyone understands the goals, the priorities, and the roles. But we would actually say, create your own group chat, whatever your favorite platform is, we don't care, where people can talk. But again, they can refer back to a common understanding of these are the goals and these are our roles, and a structured place where they can ask questions and challenge. Hey, that particular priority is unclear to me for these reasons. So that's where we fit in it. We're much more about that purpose-driven, structured, whereas you might have a collaboration environment where a team does their chat. When I do team collaboration, because I have a distributed team, I actually use Zoom meeting because I like the video, and a shared doc, whether that is a Google Doc or a SharePoint or what have you, doesn't matter. But we're keeping together in that way. For me, for my teams, that gives us a record, and it keeps everybody, you know this because of what you do, so much communication is nonverbal. There is no tone in anything typed. That's why they created emojis. So if I really want to have team brainstorming, I need to create an environment where we can see each other and where the fact that you're not into what I'm saying, I can instinctively read and we can explore rather than we're just texting and ye who can type faster wins. Dynamic signal, everyone has to choose what they focus on. So there's so much opportunity in the larger enterprises, and there's a lot of integrations we have to do with their HR systems, with their intranets. That's where we've focused. And so we go down to about a 500 employee company, and it'll cost them a few $1,000s a month, and that's probably out of the range for many smaller organizations. Now, if you were talking through what you were just saying, I would say use Google Hangouts and Google Docs, and that's all free, right? So if that's sufficient, depends on the complexity of the organization you're trying to communicate with. If you don't need lots of segmentation, if you don't need lots of measurement of who got what, you don't need us. And we would hate to overburden you with an administrative tool that's just too heavy. What we've discovered is when you authentically communicate with your employees about everything, and then designate that some of what I've shared with you, I'd love for you to share externally. Because the conversation, you're having an authentic conversation. We're sharing lots of information with you. Well, sure, I'm in the know. I'm more than happy to share the things you asked. Where it's backwards, Jeremy, is when the focus is you, employee, are going to help market for me. And all I'm going to do is communicate with you about stuff I want you to promote. Well, nobody wants to be a shill. Nobody wants to feel like they're pushing, and nobody wants to feel like their only purpose is a conduit to all of their friends. That's sort of, your friend that does the network marketing and you kind of run the other way when they ask you to host a party. Nobody wants to do that. Well, somebody wants to. Network marketing works. Invest in authentic relationships. Authentic relationships are based on a steady stream of credible communication and a willingness to hear something back. That's how we're having a communication right now. I'm not pushing something on you. And by earning the right to ask you to share something, you're much more likely to do so. So we have a bunch of customers that started working with us just for advocacy. And we wanted to share, them to realize that if they weren't communicating everything about the company, they were working a lot harder at advocacy than they probably needed to, because the other way is natural. It just works.
Does your company have any perspective right now on this movement toward chatbots and artificial intelligence?
There are basic conversations that chatbots are just more efficient at. When are you open? Send me directions. I don't really need a human. In fact, the human slows me down. And we're going to see more and more of that in social media. Even in an employment relationship, what's the benefits site? When is open enrollment? These are not things that I actually need to talk to a human about, and it's inefficient. Which benefits I should understand, and what is the difference between our different health plans? Okay, I actually need a human. I need to talk to somebody. What are the priorities for the company? And why does this third priority make no sense to me? I need a human. So I think it's actually really exciting. It's sort of like, do you remember, Jeremy, when the internet first started and in order to reset a password, you had to call somebody? And you're like, this was stupid, but this is what we did. And then sites started coming up with a way to automatically request a reset of your password. And it was awesome. They had fewer customer support people answering password questions, which, by the way, were 50% of the inquiries. And people who needed their password didn't have to wait on hold to get their password. It's going to be the same thing with AI and chatbots. Information that's clear, questions that are clear, it's going to be faster, it's going to be better. Now, Stitch Fix has done some interesting things where they'll use AI to basically gather information from people about the clothing they want to wear. And the AI will generate a set of recommendations for a human. And that human will then refine them using their judgment. So there could be an interesting, imagine that an employee's onboarding or there's some change, there's something where you have to ask questions or you have to engage, where the AI could be the mechanism through which you gather the information, and it goes to a communications professional, an HR professional, a manager, who then has more robust information through which they can interact with you. So I think there's some pretty exciting things to help people spend more time connecting in the ways that people need to, which is emotional and explaining and brainstorming, as you talked about.
Are there other developments on the horizon, whether it be augmented reality, virtual reality? What are the things that we're looking at down the road?
So augmented reality, it is very exciting. It's fun. I think it's going to first have its success in gaming because, Pokemon was fun. They're coming out with Harry Potter. It'll be great. It's fun. I know a company that does some very cool things where you can sit in front of a mirror and start looking at an outfit that you're wearing in different colors, in different backgrounds. And that's really great. Like that's fun. You can now do that in your closet if you had one of these special mirrors. So I think there's some really interesting consumer applications. There's some great things happening in B2B with augmented reality. If you can imagine someone's doing surgery and they're able to see a augmentation, and there's some great things you can do in medical devices, in manufacturing, in labs. So I think all of that's terrific. In the realm of communication, people want authenticity. They don't want an avatar. They don't want you augmented. You want to see me. I want to see you. And communication has to be real and authentic. So it's the last frontier where I think augmented reality is going to reshape. Now, maybe I'm a Luddite, but it's just my instinct that people like to communicate with real people, even the millennials.
As a communication professor, I'm glad to hear that as well. Are we on marketing 2.0, 3.0? Where is marketing going in all of this?
Marketing has a challenge. This noise challenge that's happening for employees, part of it is because of marketing, right? Everything that works, marketers replicate because we're smart that way. Oh, there's a new way to send something out on Twitter. Do it, do it, do it. Oh, Snapchat has a new way to tell stories. Oh, I'm trying to reach that audience. Do it, do it, do it. And the thing that I find we look for with our marketers is this combination, it's very rare, of data strong. You have to understand the behavior of your audience, the makeup of your audience, and that is analytics. And then you have to be out of the box wildly creative because every new idea is going to get copied. So you have to create an environment where people can experiment and fail. Out here, we talk a lot about the growth mindset, right? That if you can't take risks, you will fail. I tell people when they hire me, like, I am never going to promise you that everything we do is going to work. I'm going to push the edge of envelopes, which means sometimes we're going to get paper cuts and it's not going to work. We're going to make the best guess we can based on data that we have something that should resonate with this audience. And then we're going to be very creative about the channel, about the message, about the mode, and we'll measure if it works or not. So I don't know if that's marketing 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. I think that is simply the world. There is no digital and non-digital because there are no people that are digital or non-digital. Everybody is digital in some way and non-digital in some way. So we just have to figure out who are the right people, what would catch their attention in the right way and motivate them to engage.
What are things you would tell students today as they prepare to leave college and go into the workforce?
Simplify. If you can't explain it simply, the odds on you can't sell it and no one can buy it. And when I say simplify, I have a simple metric. Somebody who doesn't work for you but wants what you've got can explain it in a cogent way to someone else. If you have to explain it all the time for anyone to get it, not good enough. Number two, listen to your market, but not too much. So you have to have a vision of what you're trying to make possible. And you have to make sure that what you're trying to make possible solves a problem and people want it. But you can't ask them, what's your problem or what do you want? Because they're going to tell you about slight improvements to what they have. So you probably have to say, I think it's really hard for enterprises to communicate with their employees. And people will say, I have email and I have newsletters and an intranet. Okay, what % of your employees actually are able to access those things? Oh, I don't know. Well, okay, you ought to know, because I'm going to bet, just out of curiosity, when's the last time you went to the intranet? And they start to squirm and what have you. So I can explain that you need a way to push your content to your employees. Content they want, snackable. Well, someone can go and say, you know what we need? We need a way we can push our content to employees in snackable nuggets. Okay, anyone can say that. Like, we've just got an idea that's simple. So I say that. I also tell them that they should take a class in contract law, because you're going to do contracts, whether it's with AWS, whether it's with designers, whether it's with option agreements, whether it's with customers. And it always shocks me that we all come out of business school or whatever undergrad program, and we have no idea what a United States contract looks like. You should know that. You should know what indemnification is and guarantees and, you know, what warranties are, because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're about to sign things. Don't lose your company and don't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Take a course, learn about business contracts, and then work hand in hand with your legal counsel. You know, the best stories are the ones that our customers, like what we hear from people. They feel, the employees report, they feel they're actually important. They feel they have a part to play, a meaningful part to play in the future of their companies, because the company is communicating and engaging with them where they are, when they want. It's an amazing transformation. And we see it in companies of 400,000 employees down to 500, but it is truly going beyond the intranet, going beyond email, going beyond the magazine, going beyond the newsletter. And the other part is the communicators, because they're getting the data and measuring, they can actually show the value of what they're doing. And that is how they can unlock and are unlocking more resources for communicating. So we really see a whole transformation of the role and the importance of those internal communicators. They're going to have the data that justifies, that helps guide those conversations, and for the first time helps them optimize communication to improve its impact. We just think that's very exciting, and so do our customers.